Is Travis Hunter already the best player in college football? I think he's making a case for it.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba, and today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy fixes tired fast with zero sugar and a convenient portable size. It's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. So go to 5hourenergy.com and use promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. The offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. Go to 5hourenergy.com. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in. We had a heck of a game to talk about last night. I had my live reaction posted about 10, 15 minutes after the game, which you could expect after every game this year. There was a few takeaways I had from the game, which if in summary, one of them was Travis Hunter was him. The other one was like the upgrades on the offensive line. They performed well. The run game wasn't what I thought it'd be. Pass rushers weren't what I thought it'd be. But I already talked about all that. I wanted to focus specifically on Travis Hunter because I don't think we as a society, especially in this era of social media, know how to appreciate what we're witnessing in a way. Like, obviously, more people will see Travis Hunter play than they would have if he played in 2005, right? Like, social media has done wonders for sort of this accessibility we have. This just sort of way we have of life where it's like, oh, everyone across the country is able to watch Travis Hunter in some capacity because he goes viral every time he plays. But I wanted to truly conceptualize how special he is because I've seen Champ Bailey talking about Travis Hunter. I've seen Charles Woodson talking about Travis Hunter. Deion Sanders, his coach, talking about Travis Hunter. And they all say that he is special. They have all alluded to the fact that what he is doing is special. Like, not many guys are able to play 129 snaps, offense, defense. He only missed 2 snaps, one of which was because his helmet came off. Like, Travis Hunter is special. And I think my message to Colorado fans specifically, or especially, and to college football fans, is to enjoy the moment because we don't see Travis Hunters very often. I don't know when the next time we'll see one is, because honestly, the only time I could think of someone like Travis Hunter, and this is just me I'm 24, about to turn 25. Obviously, social media is more prevalent now than it was when I was a kid. I didn't think it was around when I was a kid, or at least not that I had, like MySpace or stuff like that, or Facebook for the old people. No offense. I love a good Facebook post, though, you know. But we now have so much access to this. And I just think, like, the closest thing to Travis Hunter that I remember growing up was Adoree Jackson, maybe Miles Jack, Jabril Peppers, and I'm trying to dig deep here. Like, I don't remember that many. Like, it just wasn't a thing. Like, there was just not guys who were solidified two-way stars. And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. I'm showing my age here. Give me a little early 2000s to mid 2000s two-way star that you could think of, if there is any. But even then, I feel like Travis Hunter's in a category of his own because I think at each of his respective positions, if he focused on receiver or if he focused on being a corner, I think he'd be the best player regardless. Like, I think if he was just a receiver, he'd be the best receiver in the country, probably the best player in the country, like Marvin Harrison Jr. was last year. If he was the best corner in the country, if he only focused on corner and he was the best, right? I think he'd be like a prime, like, say, Patrick Peterson or something like that, right? Where it's just like, that guy is so dominant, makes so many plays. He's the best player in college football. And so I just really wanted to highlight that. And I don't know how many games he's going to win Colorado this year, but he certainly is going to play a factor in winning them some football games. Yesterday, he finished with 7 catches for 132 yards, 3 touchdowns. He caught 9 of his 7 targets. And then defensively, not a really loud game. 3 tackles. I think they were just picking apart the linebackers. I thought the pass coverage from the linebackers and safeties was a little rough. I think they were just abusing the man coverage. And I think that's what Scott Proctor told us they were going to do. And Zach McKinnell said that they were going to do. They were going to be methodical and just take what's there. And that's exactly what they did. And so I don't really remember them testing Travis that much. I think he only gave up 2 or 3 catches, if I remember correctly. And so it's like defensively, he didn't have a lot of time to show, but Travis Hunter is just special. And I think the best example of this, which I wrote about this over at Athlon. You guys can go check it out because it's a really great video that Deion Sanders Jr. put out. So is that same drive where he catches his final touchdown. And I think it was 3 or 4-ish plays before. Shedeur fires a pass to him, little fade, one-on-one. And the North Dakota State defensive back is all over Travis. No catch, pass interference, doesn't matter. So it's like, oh, whatever. Well, they huddle up. I think there was a timeout or something, or TV timeout at that point. And Pat Shurmur's talking about what he wants to do. And Travis is complaining. He's like, dude, just give me the ball or whatever, blah, blah, or whatever he's saying. Shedeur goes, dude, catch the first one. And then Travis is like, the guy was all over me. And Shedeur was like, I don't give up blank. Just catch it. And so I think it kind of showed that, like, yes, they're the two of the best players in college football, right? But they're still humans, right? So they have that human element of like frustration with one another where it's like, dude, just catch it. I don't care. And we've seen that in Wolf Media videos. And I don't think they're not mad at each other, right? It's like the heat of the moment. I get that. So don't be all sensitive and talk about that in the comment section. But so Shedeur's like, dude, just catch it. And so next time he gets a chance, Shedeur, same play, really, or at least it seemed like, fires it to Travis again, one-on-one, a little back shoulder-ish, or I think it was meant to be, or it was kind of by the pylon, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to remember it now. It was a little fade route, one-on-one with the corner, or at least that's what it looked like in the replay. And the corner, again, draped all over him. Probably could have been pass interference. But next thing you know, Travis Hunter, like, sticks a paw up, smacks it into his other hand, touchdown. And I think that might have a case for catch of the year. But for Colorado, they truly have a talent on their team. I think if he's able to sort of keep his production up on offense and then make some plays on defense, I think he could win the Heisman. Like, if Colorado, I think he's that special, which I already told you guys how hard it was for quarterbacks to win the Heisman. And the only players in the playoff era to win the Heisman that weren't quarterbacks both went to Alabama. So the odds are against him. The odds are against him because usually you're contending for a conference title. And I don't know if Colorado's going to be there yet. It's only been 1 week. 2, you're a quarterback, which he's obviously not. And 3, like I said, they go to Alabama. It was Derrick Henry, Devontae Smith. Like, those are the only guys we've seen win the Heisman since 2013 that weren't quarterbacks, and they both went to Bama. So I think Travis Hunter has sort of this limitless potential. He's kind of a unicorn of the sport, and you just have to love everything he brings to the table, the energy, his passion. Even after the game, he showed leadership because obviously that Hail Mary was a little scary, not trying to rhyme, but you got 3 to 4 Colorado defensive backs all in there. And it looked like they were, I'm not going to pretend like I knew what they were doing. Like I don't know what they were thinking. Like, oh, I'm going to catch this or I'm going to hit this down. But it looked like we were going for more interceptions rather than just swatting it down. Like we just need hands everywhere, not hands like this. We're not catching the ball. We're just hitting it down. Right. And so I think that was something that he called his team out for when speaking to Scott Van Pelt. So he's a leader, leads by example, leads vocally. He just does it all. And so Colorado has a special talent. And I just want everyone to really appreciate what we're seeing from him, because who knows if we'll ever see it again. And obviously he's probably NFL bound after this year. And so we'll see how he does as he faces more talented defenses. I think he'll be just fine. He was just fine last year, but I'm just saying, I want to see how well he continues to progress and stuff like that. So it's really going to be exciting to see how Colorado does the rest of the season. And I mean, just buckle up because we got a long way to go, but the Buffaloes are 1-0. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Shedeur Sanders taking fault for something that kind of gives me a minor concern. This episode of Locked on Buffs is brought to you by Factor Meals. Fuel up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy your nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Make your day delicious. From breakfast to dessert, stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Head to factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50 and use code LockedOnCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code LockedOnCollege50 at factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is still active. Go check them out. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I appreciate you guys, all the support that you give me. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. I have and I'll probably be doing this every week. The PFF grades, I put them up for the offensive line. Pretty solid all around performance. Defensive line, same thing. I thought they did just as solid in the run. Pass defense, not so much. But offensive line, they all did really well. I think Hank Zelinkas was kind of the weak link, but no sacks were given up by the offensive line according to PFF, so that means it was on Shedeur Sanders' fault, or if it was on Shedeur Sanders' shoulder. But that's not what I'm talking about here when I said I was going to talk about something that he owned up to. Shedeur Sanders, and it's really hard for me it's hard to notice in game, right? Because it's like the game's going so fast. I'm watching and I'm trying to keep track of who's on the field. I'm keeping track of the scenarios, and then I'm like, okay, what personnel do we got here and stuff like that. So it's like, and they move so fast, like it happens so quickly between plays. And so Shedeur Sanders checked down to this was, or not checked down. He checked to a pass play in the fourth quarter there, and I think a lot of people were passing the blame on to Pat Shurmur. A lot of people were like, Deion Sanders doesn't know how to manage a team. And it was actually Shedeur Sanders calling that shot. And it's one of those things where his explanation makes sense. He talked about how it was one-on-one, or it was cover zero. So obviously he's got one-on-one. They loaded the box, and so his receiver was open. And so he felt that was the right move. Obviously it was not the right move, but he owned up to it. But this is the second time in Shedeur Sanders' career that in clutch time, or at least his Colorado career, that I specifically remember, that he has checked down to a play that's the wrong play. Like, we'll just put it that way. And he's learning from it. He said it was a lesson to learn. He's going to do everything he can to make sure, even if it's tempting, to call the right play. So I imagine Pat Shurmur had called a run, because North Dakota State loaded the box. They knew they expected the run to be coming. And Shedeur Sanders threw a quick little ball to LeJohntay Wester, and it fell incomplete. And it was like, okay, you just gave them more time for no reason. So this was, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, this was a drive. So Colorado gets the ball. There's 2 minutes remaining. On first down, right? So Travis Hunter, no gain on 1st and 10. Shedeur Sanders to LeJohntay Wester for 2 yards on second down. It's 3rd and 8. North Dakota State calls a timeout. 3rd and 8. Shedeur tries to complete a pass to LeJohntay. It was pass interference, gives Colorado automatic first down. So there's a minute 52 left. So right now it's just, hey, make them waste a first down. You could run the clock down, right? You could just sit there and wait for like 1 second left on the play clock and call a timeout. Or you could run the ball and then do the same thing, right? No, Shedeur Sanders checks into a pass play, incomplete, and then Dallin Hayden, no gain. Colorado or North Dakota State takes a timeout. Then Shedeur Sanders completes one to Jimmy Horn Jr. for 7 yards and get the first down. So they have to punt. Luckily, Mark Vissett is one of the best punters in the country. Pins him deep, and they had to go 92 yards. If that punt was about 10 yards shorter, right, or whatever, North Dakota State wins that game, right? Because they completed that Hail Mary. And he ran right into he didn't have anywhere to go, but he ran right into the defenders, and it was kind of like a scary situation. Coach Prime was like, I don't use profanity, but I was certainly thinking it. And it's like, yeah, you have to, right? But that moment at the end there is kind of set up by Shedeur Sanders the play he checked to. And I totally get what he saw. Like, I understand why he did what he did, in the sense of like, if we're in the second quarter, I understand that decision completely. It's like, yeah, makes sense, right? You know, you have a loaded box and you have one of the fastest receivers in the country one-on-one, right? Why wouldn't you throw it to him? But then you run the risk of stopping the clock for the opponent. They don't have to waste a timeout. And you kind of give them another opportunity at life. And he did it against USC, where they were down 14. and the look that USC was giving them, he checked into a run, ran the ball, and then he was taking a long time to get the play call, and I don't think he liked the play call is what it was. With Sean Lewis calling the plays, and all of a sudden it was just time was just shaved off the clock, and it's like, oh my gosh, like they scored a touchdown to go down by 1, and then all they had enough time for was the onside kick, and then that USC recovered and they took a knee and the game was over. So there's just some late game moments where I think Colorado still needs to be better. I'm glad he owned up to it. I'm glad he said that he's not going to go with the temptation, but I did think it was interesting that it was him, because honestly at the time I was like, Pat Shurmur, like what do we do? Like I called out Pat Shurmur yesterday. Obviously I didn't notice that Shedeur had checked down to it, and I hadn't seen his conversation with the media just yet. So I was a little confused, but it makes sense. I know why he did it. I get why he did it, just not the right time. And Shedeur Sanders, I mean, if anyone gets a pass, it's him. 445 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did throw a pick, but it was the flukiest interception I've ever seen. Literally, somehow, I've seen more conventional plays in dodgeball. Like, that's what it felt like. He hit someone's foot, it tipped up to someone, the guy happened to be in the right spot and caught it. So that's not on Shedeur. But yeah, I think he'll grow from that, learn from that, and let's just move on to Nebraska week 2. When we come back, we're going to be talking about where I think the team needs to be a whole lot better. But first, a word from our sponsors over at eBay Motors. And they're a good sponsor, so you guys need to tune in here. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. This episode of Locked on Buffs is also brought to you by our sponsors over at 5 Hour Energy. Let me tell you about 5 Hour Energy. Are you tired after lunch? Guess what? You're not the only one. In fact, research shows that more than 70% of us will hit the wall after lunch. Let a 5 Hour Energy shot help you leap over that wall instead of crashing into it. On the site, they even have the option to build your own 12 or 24 pack, and they have so many great flavors. They have watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, and more. So go check it out. And it's delivered right to your door. So if you go to 5hourenergy.com, that's the number 5, hourenergy.com, and get 5 Hour Energy product today, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. The offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day. Make me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow. I'm having fun growing the community. We're going to have some really cool guests coming up. Scott Proctor's coming up, Scott Proctor is going to be here every Tuesday. We're going to talk about what right in the game. We're going to look ahead to other games. It's going to be awesome. So make sure to be there. Let's talk about what needed to be better for Colorado. I think this is pretty straightforward. I'm not going to be, I wish I was profound. I wish I was the Aristotle or Socrates of college football takes sometimes, but sometimes you don't need to, overcomplicate things, right? You just got to be like, hey, we're being real here. The run game, non-existent. It just wasn't. It was, it's like a combination of the running backs not really doing anything right. Like they weren't, I won't say doing anything right. It's just they weren't given the holes or the opportunities, I guess. So Colorado went away from the run. I'm going to pull up the PFF sort of breakdown of it because I thought it was really interesting. So they, I mean, it's just one of those things where like Dallin Hayden, for instance, he rushed 9 times for 20 yards, 2.2 yards per carry. The only time he was really effective was when he ran to the right of the center. He had 16 yards and averaged 3.2 yards per carry. Charlie Offerdahl had 15 yards, which he was the team's most efficient runner, believe it or not, running back wise. Second most. It was Draylon Miller, but Charlie went to the left of the center one time for 5 yards, then to the right of the center for 7 yards on 3 attempts, and then to the right guard 3 yards. So nothing there. Draylon Miller, I kind of thought they'd use him more. They kind of like teased him really early. They teased him on the outside. He went to the left side one time, to the right side the another, 2 and 5 yards. And then it was like, okay, we're done with the Draylon Miller experience. And it's like, okay, why not just keep him in, like commit to it? I want Colorado to commit to it. And I don't think they did that. Rush defense, I was pleasantly surprised with. I think the defensive line did pretty well against North Dakota State, considering they wanted to run the ball extremely. They wanted to run the ball a lot, right? That's what they wanted to do. They ran it a lot, and I think if you look at their numbers, they're like, oh, as a team, they rushed for, let me pull it up. I think it was like 100 or almost close to 200 yards, if I'm not mistaken. They rushed for, 157, but 43 carries, 3.7 yards per carry. And their longest carry was 20 yards. So much better. And their leading rusher was the quarterback, and he was killing Colorado with his scrambles. Their leading running back, he rushed for 33 yards on 9 carries. And then their other running back rushed for 32 yards. So they weren't getting much out of the run game. Also, Trey Lance's brother was on the team. Did not know that. Junior receiver. He had one career catch. Yesterday he had 3. So that was interesting. Coverage wise, not great. I think they played a lot of man coverage, and I think North Dakota State loved that for them. I think they were just picking that apart. DJ McKinney gave up 3 catches. Savion Riley gave up 4 catches on 4 targets. Travis Hunter gave up 2 catches on 2 targets. Preston Hodge, 2 catches on 3 targets. Trevor Woods, he was struggling. He gave up, who gave up the most yards? Trevor Woods, 83 yards. So see him lock in on coverage, but he got beat really bad on a Texas route, which is kind of where the running back runs. It's a running back route where the running back has all of the leverage. Like they're running to an angle, and then they get to a certain point, boom, sharp turn. So as a linebacker, you're just trying to move with them, and running backs are typically faster. So yeah, tough scene there. I thought the man maybe to go with zone coverage every once in a while, right? I think Dalton Wasserman from PFF is going to come on the show and talk about why man coverage wasn't working for Colorado yesterday. But yeah, I just feel like we need to commit to the run more. Pass defense was a little rough. Shedeur Sanders, this is specifically for him. There was 4 to 6 plays which he got called for. He got called for a penalty on 1, ended up giving North Dakota State a chance to score, and it was just reckless. He was throwing guys in the sidelines. He was just, I don't know. I don't understand what he was doing, honestly. I just, it's hard to conceptualize what he felt. Like I didn't get his goal anywhere where it was like, okay, that made sense for you to sort of throw that guy into the Gatorade thing, or that made sense for you to hit the receiver where the ball had already fallen to the ground, and you just blast him for no reason. So Shedeur Sanders, need a little more discipline out of a leader like him. But yeah, I think those are my biggest complaints. The run, I think the offensive line needs to get a little more physical in the rushing attack. Nebraska's going to be physical. We all know the Big Ten is. But those are my biggest complaints. And I think Colorado, not too shabby of a first game. Now, we knew how people would react to that game where Colorado wins a close one. And it's like, you barely beat an FCS program. But it was a solid win. I'm not mad at it. It's first game. I think everyone's rusty in the first week. And Colorado, they did what they needed to do. They won the game. Coach Prime said it didn't feel like a win, which shows that they have some sort of standard. They have an accountability set. So loved that. I'm really high on the Buffaloes heading into week 2, and you'll just have to stay tuned, and I'll keep you guys covered. We're going to have Scott Proctor, Dalton Wasserman. We're going to have a Locked On Buffs crossover with the other podcasts. It's going to be really, really cool. So make sure to tune in, like, subscribe, follow on Twitter. We're also at Twitter at Locked On Buffs. Make sure you guys tune in and stay up to date on everything Colorado. Hope you guys have a great day and a great weekend. Enjoy the college football weekend, because obviously Colorado's not playing tomorrow.